programme may contain scenes unsuitable for young children.
Marvel's credit card sponsors Daytime on CBS Drama.
He hit himself. Yeah.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Sharman. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Henry and Gina Robichon are suing their neighbors, Suzanne and Jeffrey Farley, for the cost to fix a dent in their truck. Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 556 on the calendar in the matter of Robichon versus Farley.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
All right, Miss Robichon, you could sit down because you weren't there during this incident.
Yeah.
And Mr. and Mrs. Farley, similarly, I'm just going to have your son step up.
Okay.
If I need you, we'll come back. Mr. Robichon, you and the Farleys are neighbors. And, you know, Mr. Farley, and you, I gather, friendly, and he's done some work for you. Yard work, is that right? On November 12th of 2008, you were on your way to pick up your son from school, and according to your complaint, asked young Mr. Farley here whether he would like to take a ride with you.
Yes.
During the ride to school to pick up your son, is this your son?
Yes.
There was a road rage incident. You were driving your car. You're going to tell me what happened during that incident. Subsequently, it is your claim that Mr. Farley came to your house and punched your truck, causing damage. Mr. Farley acknowledges that he punched your truck, but he says that was only after you punched him in the face, giving him a swollen eye, which required medical treatment, and Mr. Farley's parents, on his behalf, are counterclaiming for that assault. That's what the case is about. So, Mr. Robichon, why don't you first tell me what happened on the way to pick up your son at school?
Okay, we were going down Clayton Road, and this guy went to get over a lane, and
You might have a meter of medieval stuff on top though to get through.
we will get to that fairly swiftly.
Let's see.
So, under the watchful eye of our medieval policeman, our conquest of Kai Went begins, right in the heart of the Roman town, as the archaeologists investigate this field for the first time ever. And while we wait with bated breath for the results, Helen's finding out about the town's history.
I can see there's lots of Roman buildings here, but what else do we know?
We know that the Romans called it Ventus Silurum, which means the marketplace of the Silures. They were the local tribe who lived in this part of South Wales.
So were the Silures friendly to the Romans?
Initially they were the opposite of friendly. They were the most unfriendly of tribes in Britain, and it took 25 to 30 years for the tribe finally to be subdued and to be incorporated within what became the Roman province of Britannia.
So how did these wild barbarians end up with a Roman town? Because the Romans thought that the only civilised way to live was in a town, they founded towns, and they relied upon the local elites to rule for them. So the local elites restyled themselves from being warrior elites and instead become urban magistrates, a bit like a town councillor.
So Kaiwent was both a market town and political centre, and this might give us a clue to what's going on in our field. And as the digger arrives, the geophyz is hot off the press. But it's causing some confusion.
What I'm not sure about is whether we've got a monumental building or a series of small buildings. That's the only problem.
Well, look to me, John, you've got a range of rooms going down there. Rooms there. Another range going across there. And then perhaps a central courtyard. Now, because it's a temple, you might have public buildings, and that wouldn't be out of place as a meat market.
But you're making a big assumption, aren't you? Mick said that it might all be overlaid with medieval. Could this stuff be medieval?
No, I think that was Roman, but what you can't see, I think I'm right in saying, John, is anything like burials on that.
No, we won't see burials in this.
No, so we know that there are medieval burials up to that wall from the installation. we don't know if they come across this site. So there might still be medieval stuff on the site.
Problem, what are we going to do?
Well, let's open this trench in here. Let's prove these walls, test the inside in the room, put the courtyard area, then expand accordingly.
Looking at the geophys, Neil thinks this building could be a Roman McKellum, a type of covered meat market. So we're opening our first trench here to test his theory. And having barely scratched the surface, Phil's already struck it lucky.
Even you know what that is,
Even Tony knows what that is.
That's like 2nd century AD. First BC.
Phil!
Oh, lovely job, Shearer.
Why are we saying this could either be a huge building or a meat market?
Well, I guess the meat market has a fairly standard plan, has ranges of rooms, almost booths, if you like, around a central courtyard. And I guess in those booths you might have selling cooked meat, legs of lamb, that kind of thing. And I think the point is, it's got a single plan, therefore it's paid for by one entrepreneur who then rents it out to individual butchers. So it's all about mercantile activity.
What do you think of that then?
Is that mortar?
That is, isn't it?
Ooh.
That's one wall line.
Is this more or less where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, does it correspond with what you've got on the geophys?
Well, it's meant to come through the middle of the trench, so we're not
I
far
mean-
off.
So much for our resident medieval misery guts. It's only 11 AM and we're right down among the Romans. Not enough to convince me we've got a meat market yet, but considering the fantastic ruins over the rest of the town, it is pretty tantalising. Because looking at the plan of Roman Tyre Went, previous digs have already revealed a grid system of roads which surround blocks of shops, temples and houses, and at the centre of it all, the political heart of the town, the Forum.
When Neil said the forum was here, I was expecting something grand and towering with great roofs and columns and things, but there's not much here really, is there?
For Roman Britain, this is actually quite impressive for standing remains. This is one of the very few uncovered foreign basilicas in Britain.
But look, there's virtually nothing here. I mean, this can't be old, surely.
No, this isn't ancient, but it was based on what was excavated, and this has been reconstructed.
So all
But
this
based on
gutter
what we
around
found-
here.
So that gutter would have been original,
Yeah.
yes.
So what would this have looked like?
It would have started as this big open space for commercial activity and also an important political meeting space. They would have had pillars at the front,
Yeah.
and then there would have been an open space behind it, and then behind that there were probably shops, which you can see there. There's one there.
So this is a shop.
This is
What?
a shop, yes.
This bit here.
This bit there. And when it was excavated, there were a lot of oyster shells found in it, so it might have been something like an oyster bar.
Really? With these impressive steps in front of the forum.
Yeah, they may well have been lined with something. There may well have been statues flanking on either side, leading people into here, which is the basilica.
What's the basilica?
The basilica is the sort of political chamber that's attached to it. A bit like a modern cathedral, in that you have two side aisles and a central nave. And you can see where you've got those really big wide walls there.
Yes.
They're so wide because they have columns going up them, huge columns to give this aspect of height